But as I'm sitting here now on this day where I woke up and it was actually, it had snowed last night, so it was really beautiful. Okay, there is joy and there is trust. That's what's moving through me right now. And as I sat there, even it was moving through me, and I was like, well, is it this or this? And it's many things, right? It's both and it's sometimes nothing and sometimes everything. And so that's what's allowed. I'd love to see if you want to share in the chat. Um, but I welcome you here. I want to have you, if it's safe for you, wherever you are, to close your eyes for just a minute and be in a place that, if you're not in a place where you can be still and close your eyes, okay, try to be as present as you can. But part of what I do as I work with clients and groups of people and even on retreat is to always give the invitation to bring more stillness into your life. Beautiful. Brooke said, there is appreciation. Emily said, there is peace and hope and a sore throat. Okay, thank you. Yes, I love that. Thank you for sharing. If anyone else would like to share, it's just being really present with your what's moving through you, and even just that belief that yes, this is moving through me. When we believe that, our subconscious starts to take on a new way to be with our emotions. Does that make sense? So where our attention goes, if we're tending to, oh, I'm so sad, there's so much energy going to that, and it creates the signal within our subconscious to send out a signal, because that's what we are. We're like transmitters, and we send out the signal, and the signal is, I'm sad, so bring more sadness to me, because it doesn't judge it as like something from the past, because it only knows now, subconscious. So if it's feeling sadness, it's going to bring back like energy. So if we are so involved in our emotions and our feelings and our thoughts, and we aren't giving space to, oh, this is who I be, I'm experiencing this, we'll always be in the suffering of our life, instead of actually coming to understand that we were meant to come here and experience everything and not judge it good or bad. And that creates so much more peace in our whole system. Our nervous system starts to relax when we can believe that we actually can become more aware of our subconscious thoughts that run so much of our lives. Okay, there is excitement of what's to come in the unknown, and there's some residual stickiness from the way someone close to me made me feel. Okay, I'd like to talk about that later, if that's something you would like to do, because that has me thinking about something. Okay, Isabel says there's love and understanding. Okay, thank you. Thank you for checking in. So I want to speak to something really quick, and then because I don't want to take so much time as I have in the past speaking, but I really want to, I really would love to bring whatever wants to be brought to this space for anyone who has a challenge or a roadblock or something, some habit, something that they keep doing that they're aware of, right? We can't hold and tend to what we're not aware of. So the more we are aware of, like, oh yeah, this is really real. This is present and coming through me right now. Am I clinging to this? Or am I giving so much attention to it that that's clogging my life? So be thinking as I'm speaking here really quick. Camilla says, lovely to be here, all of you. Thank you, Camilla, for being here. Okay, so I want to speak to this idea that I'm gonna look at my notes for just a minute here. Can you all hear me? I think you can, or you would have told me. I'm not seeing that. Someone said that they couldn't hear me so well. Okay. I want to speak to this idea that And I'm going to ask you to say in the chat, if you can, how this makes you feel when I say this statement. This is just an experiment. I didn't know I was going to do this, but somehow it was like, yeah, do this. Okay. How does it feel when I say to you, no one is coming to save you? No one is coming to save you. How does that feel in your system, in your nervous system? So as that's coming in, okay, it feels sad and lonely. Thank you for being honest, because I have to say, even just saying it, I know the plot twist here, but as I say it, I'm wondering, because yeah, that's my initial thing is like, wow, like no one's there for me. I'm all alone, right? And it's interesting. Okay, Madeline says, although it makes me feel sad initially, it also feels empowering to me. Okay, beautiful. Yes, that we are our own masters, and it's really freeing because in the energy of all we are always held in divinity. Yes, Camilla, thank you. Okay, so what I used to believe, it was this kind of contracting feeling when I thought to myself, and literally after my divorce, and I know other women who've been through divorce and even women who haven't, but because let's be honest, in my marriage for many, many years, I was lonely and sad. And so believing that someone else was the source of our suffering or the source of our sadness, and that they should be showing up in a certain way for us to feel safe and for us to not be sad. That, save me, even though we may not say those words out loud, there's the energy behind our thoughts about being a victim to being unloved or whatever that is. And there's a reason for it. So that's the thing. Yes, it feels weird, but can we think of why? Can we think of why this is so ingrained in us from our youth, from little itty bitty? We talk about conditioning from our overculture and the systems and everything, life, how we are born into this human experience and we get conditioned. But what are the conditions? Have we thought about it? Like, as you start to think about whatever it is that's saying to us, knowingly or unknowingly, that there's a condition on you being human, and that is that you should act and be a certain way. So you fit in and you don't make any waves and you don't rebel and you don't ask questions, right? And the conditions are, and I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I'm not saying that there's this thing that's trying to hurt us. No, what I'm saying is if we can rise above and get a higher perspective of why this is such an important part of our lived experience as humans, it's because our soul, we have a soul, right? We all know that. I think we can all agree that we have a soul that animates this instrument, this body, this amazing miracle that we get to experience. And the idea that our soul is part of this expansive, ever expanding, limitless, infinite universe, we are a part of that. So our experience is to want to expand always. And if our soul needed a way to be able to do that, what would be the perfect curriculum for soul expansion? Let me see. Well, if I agreed somehow, I don't know how all this works. And that's the thing. I don't know. This is theory. And I say it because I invite you to turn towards frequency. Because when I speak about homecoming, it's not about coming home to a space so much as it is coming home to the frequency of love, of Christ, of God, of Source, of the Spirit, whatever you want to call it. But it's in here. It lives in everything, in every one of us. And it's calling us home, but we aren't tuned into the frequency of it. And it's the whole reason we're here. I think this is I'm not the only one who thinks this, but wouldn't it be beautiful? Like the perfect curriculum to believe I'm going to go down and I'm going to experience the contrast in this polar environment where time and space are an illusion and we feel like things are in this linear past and future thing. But no, I'm going to go down and experience the contrast, the contraction of the very thing I'm trying to expand into, which is a deeper understanding that I am love. I am whole. I am God because I'm a part of all of it. It lives in me. It lives in everything. But if we wanted to expand into that deeper, expanded knowing of that, wouldn't it mean, because we are having this experience in polarity, that we would need to go through the contrast of that, the forgetting completely of who we be in order to remember and come back to the frequency over and over and practice it and know that we aren't just human, we are human divine. Sanctus humus, I think it is, or humus sanctus, where we are starting to evolve now. We are in a day and an age where our evolution, you feel it. People are talking about things they never talked about consciousness, about awareness, about waking up. Waking up to what? Well, the truth that you are already whole and time doesn't exist. And that wholest, highest version, whatever you want to call it, love, the perfect expression of love, she exists not in past or future. She exists in another dimension of time. So if time is relative and that wholest version of us lives right now, how do we tap into her frequency? That's the coming home. Yes, it's the center of our heart. Yes, it's in us because it is in us. And we've always thought it was outside. We're seeking it in a job or a relationship or the money or possessions, whatever it is. And it's never been anything outside of us that's going to make us feel closer to our wholeness, the frequency of our wholeness. So when I say no one is coming to save you, I hope that you can start to turn that around and start to believe the power of your belief in, like, wait a minute. I am here to save me as I remember who I truly be when I believe that I am never separate from God, source, all that is. And it's right here in me and it's in everyone. Everyone's already whole. How would that change our lives if we walked around in our lives, every interaction, every person we thought of or whatever, and we thought of them as whole, just perfectly whole, just at a different time right now? That would change a lot, wouldn't it? For me, when I put that lens on at the beginning of my day, it changes everything because I realize we are all always doing the best that we can with the awareness of our wholeness or a lack thereof. So when you see someone in pain and you see someone angry or you see someone isolating themselves, it's because they forgot. They're doing exactly what they were supposed to do. We came here to forget. That's the plot twist, because when we've been conditioned to believe that we're separate from each other, that we're separate from this universe or nature, whatever, see the damage that and the suffering that's happened because we keep forgetting. So I know deeply, I feel it deeply, that when we stop being scared of no one's coming to save you and start to realize, oh, I get to be the one that remembers and brings myself home. I get to allow myself to be found by me. And I get to witness every version of me as she comes back to her wholeness. That she is human, and so she will forget, and she will forget. But through practice, coming back to the resonance of love, Every now moment is where our power lies. The past and the future do not exist except for in our minds. We can't go live in tomorrow, but we go there all the time in our minds, and the past too. But the subconscious doesn't know. It doesn't know time. It only knows now. So when we are remembering the past, we get angry and we get sad. And our subconscious believes it's happening right now. And what signal is it sending out? Oh, I need more sadness because that's who I am. It will only reflect back what we think about ourselves. If there's a war in here, I promise you, you're going to be feeling a war out here until you say, oh my gosh, I am the one who is sending out that signal. Oh, wow. Okay, that's my power. So my power lies in every now moment because now, because all there is now. So all the versions of me now get to step into the frequency of love, not fear. What do I choose? This person's mad at me or whatever. Am I going to choose love or fear? Oh, I'm the only one who can save myself. Am I going to choose love or fear? Why are we so scared to love ourselves? So that statement, no one is coming to save you, is the most beautiful, empowering thing, like you said, because it means I get to love on me like I did my children and my family. I finally get to do that for me. Wow, what a radical idea. Not put myself at the back of the line anymore. To actually show up again and again in every now moment, not living in the past, depressed, or in the future, anxious. What's going to happen? I moved back from living abroad for a few years. And I never thought I'd come back to America. And coming back here, it's been just a whole bunch of emotion, but I've been witnessing myself, hold myself through all of it with so much compassion and no judgment and no fear. My family's saying, well, what are you going to do? Where are you going to live? What do how is this going to look? And I'm like, I don't know. I don't know. And it feels important to not to, because then I trust myself and I trust all that is that I'm connected to, that runs through me with so much love, no conditions, that it will arrive because I trust myself. And in my trusting of self, I trust all that is. And it's like this bridge between me and all that is that keeps expanding and growing because I believe it. I trust that that's the way that it is. The deeper I know myself, the more expanded my love grows out to everything else, including source, of which I'm a part of. So why wouldn't I love that? Why wouldn't I tend to that and hold that and let it feel what it feels and not judge it? So, okay. Okay. So I am just going to say, if you don't want me to read your share in the chat out loud, please let me know before I start reading. I'm assuming if you wrote it here that it's okay for me to share. Brooke says, I think back on when I have been there for myself, saved myself by using gifts God gave me. Yes, and it was hard, but I did it and I grew. Thank goodness no one saved me. Yeah, that's the thing. No codependency, but an interdependency. You intertwine and you weave yourself together with God and source, or whatever you want to call it. As I've sit in so many different circles, it's so beautiful to feel everyone's different expression of what God is for them. I love that. It's so beautiful. So thank you for sharing that. And I feel that too. It was the times that I trusted myself to show up for myself that I grew. I expanded. I expanded into, oh, I don't need to be scared to show up for myself. And this, when we save ourselves and show up for ourselves, guess what? Guess what starts shifting? Things in our DNA start shifting because now we're bringing light, more of Christ consciousness into our being, and it raises our frequency because we're not sitting in the heavy emotions of like 20 hertz, which is just above death, which is shame. Shame is 20 hertz. Then there's like resentment is up to like 25 or 30. And it's all of these heavy emotions that stay in us. They literally affect our physiology, our DNA, our cells. So when we start shifting our focus, loving, bringing the energy and the frequency of love back home, then we literally are changing our cellular, our DNA, everything shifting, and we're raising into the frequency of that. And guess what signal starts sending out? It can't help but do it. It starts sending out the frequency of all the things you just gave to yourself: love, compassion, acceptance, embracing. If that's who we are, which we know we are, isn't that the signal we want to send out? Because then we're bringing back in the reality of what we be. We are whole. We're bringing in wholeness. We're bringing in abundance. We're bringing in love. We're bringing it back in because we're not separate from it and we never have been. So the lies and the conditions, we're literally putting a wall up between us and our abundance. And bringing it in and connecting with others that are frequencing at the same thing. That's why community is so beautiful. When you have people that are like-hearted, like-minded, they've stopped believing the things they came to believe before they knew better than to discern the difference between fear and truth. So if there's anything right now that you would like to ask about, or if there's something in your life right now that feels wonky or weird, something that you have dealt with for a long time, that you want to have more clarity and empowerment. And whenever I say empowerment, please know I mean by the power of love, the force of love, the frequency of love. If anyone would like to share, and if not, I can keep speaking to things if you have questions about anything that I've spoken about, because I know I'll look at one note and then I kind of go off on a whole thing. So there may be things that I missed that you're like, wait, you didn't explain that. I didn't understand that so well. So please ask if you have any questions, because I love to answer.
I have a thought and a question.
Thank you. Thanks for being here.
Hey, so this week I've been thinking a lot about overwhelm, and that thought that comes, I am not enough. And I see it as being a lie, but it shows up, right?
Mhm.
And I feel like that comes when I am also believing that I am everyone else's savior. Everyone needs me. Like these thoughts come. Everyone needs you. Everyone needs you. So my
First
thought.
one again. What was the first one again? What was the first one that you said?
Enough.
I'm not enough.
Oh, so that's like the first thought that comes, and then needs you comes.
Okay.
And so your message today is really helpful, because I'm thinking these other people don't need me to show up for them. They can help themselves. That's not my burden. So that's freeing. Thank you so much. But also, I'd love to ask you about just, I don't even know how to phrase it yet because I wasn't prepared to phrase it. But this week, I've been thinking, how do I say no? How do I create boundaries to not always be that person for someone else, especially when I actually love being that for someone?
Of course.
But I don't always have to. Like I love helping others, but I say yes too often.
Okay. This is all beautiful.
A lot.
I'm not going to ask for a raise of hands, because I venture to guess that each one of us has our own version of what you just said. Okay. So thank you. I want to honor you first and give thanks the fact that you were willing to be vulnerable and to speak out what's been moving through you and patterns that maybe you've noticed in your life, even in yourself, and maybe even watching other people. That's the thing. Sometimes we'll get really good at checking in with ourselves by looking sideways. Well, let me see. How am I doing? Well, how are they doing? Okay, I'm just like that. But if that's dysfunctional in a system, then nobody's doing the real work of like radical self-responsibility. What must I believe about myself foundationally, subconsciously, before I came to believe this, before I knew better than to question, wait, is that really true that I'm not enough? Or that I need to take care of everyone? Or I am only valuable in this system, in this family, in this whatever, if I'm doing this, if I'm giving this way, if I show up this way, then I have value, then I have worth in this system and to myself and to everyone. Do you see how this starts to play out? Those are the conditions on how it is to be human in this existence. So thank you. You said, okay, sometimes I'm like, oh my gosh, there's too much. I'm not enough. I can't do all of this. Yeah. And you, Brooke, so much grace for you for being in the season of your life where, I don't know, I used to call it being in the trenches. I don't want to say that, but sometimes it can feel like that. So I see you, I honor you, and it's always both and you, this is going to make me cry. You showing up here for you is an act of self-care, radical self-care. Like, oh, I want to learn something. What that does, the energy even behind that intention to show up for yourself. So now you bring what to your family? I mean, what are you going to bring now? After we finish and we're talking about this, you get to bring back to your family more self-care, more care for them. And it's not you showing up in a way that's like, well, I'm going to control this. You have to be just this way. For me, to put conditions on you for how you're going to be a human in this family or this culture, whatever. But I can show up and say, I see you just as you are, and you're incredible because I've given it and received this from myself. How easy is it to show up for your child, your spouse, your siblings, your friends, your community in the same way? So when we can trust that our path has a purpose, we're way more likely to trust that everyone else's path has a purpose too. And it's not our responsibility to give from a place where there's ever a resentment. Whenever we're feeling resentment, that is information for us. If it's triggering that we said yes when we meant no, then that is perfect curriculum for you to turn in and become radically self-responsible. What must that mean about me if I'm resenting saying yes? Let me get curious. That must mean that I believe something about saying yes. And if I am saying yes and abandoning what I actually really feel, then I'm informing everyone how to treat me, first of all, and I'm informing myself that this is who I be. Can you feel the energy behind that? It's not authentic. It's inauthentic. It's not Brooke being true Brooke. It's Brooke being a version of her that she thought she had to be because those were the conditions to be human. And it's like we come into the human race. Isn't it funny they call it a race? And we get the baton from our parents and our grandparents and back, right? We're given all of the information that we need to survive as humans for generations. Um, and it comes with, yes, all the generational trauma, but it also comes with all the beauty and all the lessons. We focus a lot on the trauma, ancestral healing and generational trauma and all of this. Yes, but it's both and. We got it all. And what we focus on grows. So I want to come back to you. I kind of went off there. but I wanted to speak that to everyone, and even you too, Brooke. But so there's multiple things here, but I kind of think as you're speaking that it's not so many different things as it is maybe more one thing. But so if I had to ask you, this roadblock, you told me what it is. Well, how does that make you feel when you think about I'm not enough, or too many people need me, or it's my responsibility? How does that make you feel?
It's entirely overwhelming.
Okay. Overwhelming. So is
Mhm.
that a familiar feeling?
Yes.
Yeah. So
Calming.
yeah. So the question is like, and right now your subconscious is it's always more aware than we know, because it's 95% guiding our lives. We're not aware of that. We're not aware of it. It's aware of us. So it knows you're working right now to do this work and kind of be curious. So it's going to give you a hit, and trust it. It's always the first thing, and then your mind will be like, oh, I just thought that. That was my thought. And like, no, trust. So if I had to ask you, can you think about like the very first time you ever felt like that, like an overwhelm like that? It's too much. I can't do it. I'm not enough, or any something like that.
First time,
Or I
I
mean,
just
trust your subconscious. Like the first time you felt that overwhelm, where you were really aware of that feeling.
ooh, probably like years ago with young kids and husband in school and
Okay.
just yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. Good. When life was happening and all the things that we thought about motherhood and being married and all the
Mhm.
things, and you're like, oh, this is still really hard. Like, right? I'm human, and this is real. Okay. So thank you. So the next question is, that overwhelm, that feeling, that experience, and you just kind of gave an outline of it. What did you make it mean about you? That overwhelm.
I think it was probably having a picture it would be like or what it should look like, not
Oh,
living up to whatever expectation I created. But I don't think
okay.
that was brought on by that one. It's just me holding myself to a very high
Okay.
expectation of myself.
Yes. Yes. That's a beautiful awareness, Brooke. That right there is such a huge piece of this, because my next question for you is, if you had to create, because our subconscious is very simple, it's very neutral. It doesn't judge what we tell it or what we're saying, the inner dialogue. It's just going to send the signal out. It doesn't deem it good, bad, right, or wrong. So think of an I am statement to that your subconscious would have come to believe as a child, as you were younger, because this didn't start when you started feeling overwhelmed, right? That expectation for Brooke to be a certain way started before, like you were really young, and and most of the time it was before we had vocabulary and an ability to speak. And so what we felt was the frequency of an I am statement. I'm going to ask you, it's very childlike, like I am powerless, or I am, like you said, not enough, but it's usually something deeper. Like I'm not safe to be authentic with me, or I I am. So I'm going to ask you, is there something that
Mhm.
comes up that feels in alignment with, oh, there's this thing that I'm not living up to somehow?
Yes, I think it just became very clear. Let's see if I
Hmm.
can say it.
Okay.
Mm. I feel like it's probably I am not allowed to fail.
Okay. Thank you. Wow. For you to have the clarity of that, I'm not allowed to fail. Okay. So with our parents being human, and our teachers and our friends and our siblings being human, and we're human. So it's funny, when I first started working as a therapist and people would come in, they're like, yeah, I don't have any, I had a beautiful childhood. Nothing, nothing happened wrong. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. I didn't get it. And now that I've sat with lots and lots of people, I'm like, guess what? We all have it. If we're human, we have it. And what it is, it's a primal wound of when we are so young, we don't have vocabulary. There's an unspoken agreement. It's innate in all of us humans that we are relying on these caregivers. If you will keep me safe, I will be whatever version I think you want me to be. Because how could I know? Because I can't talk. And you're not saying that. But because things are happening in my experience as a child, I come to believe that I am not safe. I'm not allowed to fail. Like I need to be perfect. I need to be more, get everything just right. And what that is at its essence is self-betrayal, but we don't know it because life isn't like, oh, honey, your parents are human. They have their own stuff and everyone else does too. And that's why you're here actually, is to have this feeling and this experience. It's your perfect curriculum. So your soul will come to know that you can never get it wrong. There is no such thing as failure. Look how far you've come. If you look back on your life, I venture to guess that you would say it happened exactly as it was supposed to, because I am Brooke now, because all that happened. We can call it good, bad, right, or wrong, but it's beautiful just the same. Then you start to bring a different lens and a different frequency to your lived experience, not as something like a victim, like I'm a victim of believing that I have to be perfect or that I can't fail or I'm not safe if I don't do it perfectly. And how does that feel in our body when it happens and shows up often enough? It's going to set off a catalyst for your soul to find the frequency of wholeness again. Of guess what? You can't get it wrong, Brooke. Let me bring that to you. And so somehow you got on this call today to go even deeper into the awareness that, you know what would it feel like in my body if I believed that I couldn't get it wrong, and I've never gotten anything wrong, that everything was perfectly as it was, or it would have been a different way. So if I believe that, because there is no time, it's all just happening now, this is the version, one little version in time and space of your wholeness that's learning these lessons and coming back home, learning these lessons, getting like cleaning out the frequency of conditioning and bringing in more remembering. Conditioning is forgetting. Oh, that's right. You're coming back into the remembrance of the frequency of who you be, which is love and authenticity and perfection. Perfection in Greek means wholeness. We're like, what is perfect? Oh, heck, we see everyone trying to do it. I've tried to be it. And it's funny, this resonates. Maybe this is a family thing. Brooke is my niece, and she's my sister's daughter, her oldest daughter. And that was a generational thing, Brooke. I'm just going to say that lives in our family back and back. And it wasn't ever spoken. It was never spoken. Not one person ever said you need to be perfect. Did anyone say that to you?
Mm-mm.
No.
No, never.
It was this unspoken, accepted agreement. And it was beautiful because it's both and, because look what it has brought us, what it keeps bringing us back to. Everybody, every family, every person has their own iteration of the same story. We have beliefs that we come to believe before we know better, before we know to discern the difference between fear. Oh, that's a conditioned fear. That isn't truth. But it's important for us to experience it because it's bringing us back to remembrance. Oh, I forgot I was whole. The lie, if we are ever suffering, because we are believing a lie. Otherwise, that's fear. Love never makes
True.
us feel static. Okay. So my next question for you is, okay, this understanding, I am not allowed to fail, or I'm not safe if I fail, or I need to be perfect. One of these things, right? They all say the same thing and feel the same way. Can you tell me some of the negative consequences, some of the situations that have played out in your life because you came to believe that when you were younger, that lie?
Mm, I think it's caused more impatience, creates like a sense of urgency, and feelings get bigger because it's like, hurry, 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 you're about to fail. And then I take it out on others. And that doesn't feel authentic to myself because I am very patient.
Yes. Oh, yes, it's exactly that. Will it comes out, right? Because it's brimming out of
Mhm.
us and it comes out, and then there's more shame because in the back of your mind, you're like, I know why I'm doing this. It has nothing to do with them. This lives in me and it's bleeding out. And bless your heart for being honest with that, because we all have done that. We have done that. And it's human and
Mhm.
there's so much grace for that. So, as you think about
Yeah.
these negative consequences and where else, can you think of other places in your life this has played out?
Yeah, I've seen it recently with work a lot too. I feel like I take on more than I should and more than I genuinely want to help business be successful or to help clients be successful. Um, but then I lose my authenticity because
Okay.
it was too much.
Yeah, it's too much. Okay. Well said.
Mhm.
I want to speak a little bit to the boundary of, like, I don't even like to
Mhm.
use the word boundaries because if everything is energy, which, Nikola Tesla, who was such a brilliant, innovative quantum, well, they didn't really have quantum, but he understood how, he says, if you want to understand the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. So everything has a vibration. Our cells everywhere, quantum physics. In quantum physics, we're learning now, it's not Newtonian physics anymore. It's quantum physics. That's the new physics, right? Every quantum particle in us has every version of us. Every version exists. Which one will we claim? Through our energy of attention and frequency of our emotions, because frequency precedes form or matter. So what we're thinking about, what we're giving our attention to is actually one of the million of possibilities, and we lock it in because we give so much attention to it. So
Mhm.
I forgot why I was telling you that. So boundaries, it's frequency. So it's not so much being like, oh, no, 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 I can't do that. It's more with the intention of, how does that feel if I were to say yes? Do you see the
Mhm.
difference? It isn't so much about
Yeah.
what I have to out. It's more, what do do I feel aligned with that? Saying yes right now? Oh, no, let me trust. You're flexing the muscle of trust in Brooke to be safe, to tend
Mhm.
space, her energy.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's different than a boundary. It's saying, whew. And I learned this the hard way when I first became a grandma. I was still living back in America. And I was still getting my hours and working and trying to, I think the twins were still living at home. And I had a new grandbaby. And they were like, come and watch the grandbaby, or can you babysit like this time? And I was up to my eyeballs in finishing up hours and all the things. And okay, I felt very busy. Right. And some of that was like what you said, everybody wants a piece of me, right? There's not enough. It's too much. I was like, okay, I
Yeah.
don't know what possessed me. I don't know if I had started to baby step into being more authentic for me, showing up for me. Must have. Because I said to my daughter-in-law, I called her because I didn't want to text it. I wanted her to hear my voice. And I said, if I say yes to babysitting and staying up till like 11 at night, then I'm saying no to me, because then I'm staying up to write my paper until 2 in the morning. And then I'm getting up. And then who feels a little bit resentful? Maybe me. And is that authentic? Is that how I want to feel? If I am love, love doesn't feel resentment. And my daughter-in-law was so
Mhm.
grateful because then she could trust me because I trusted me. She could trust that my yeses meant
Mhm.
yes and my no meant no. And I said, ask me again, please, because I know there'll be another time when I can say yes. I just can't do it now. And that's honest. And she would ask, and I would
Yeah.
say yes sometimes, and then sometimes I'm like, oh no, can't do that. And that's, but think of the people that you know where their yeses mean yes and their no means no, and they're not going to go and talk about you or be resentful because they said yes or they said no when they wanted to say yes. When they aren't being honest with themselves, that lens kind of goes out, and it's almost like we can't trust other people either. What we're saying when we're giving people our truth is trusting them to receive it and do whatever they can or will with it. That's not our responsibility. People pleasing, saying yes, is a smile with a lie behind it. If we're people pleasing, we're doing it because we hope they will like us. We're trying to control the situation instead of saying, I actually can't do that right now. But if you speak it from your heart, it's hopefully it will always be received from their heart to their heart. Like, oh, and it comes out as energy. So they can feel it. When you're being authentic and you really are truly saying no because that's your capacity, that's all I can do. Even if you have to say that, it's all I can do right now. What are they going to say to that? No, you can do more? Because you're perfect. I've been watching you, right? But the thing is that expectation started here, and then let's get to this. So I wanted to ask you, so that's a negative consequence. Sometimes it'll bleed out on other people. Are there any other negative consequences that you feel from believing that old thing, that old belief?
Yeah, I feel like I put up more walls and isolate myself
Okay.
when I'm feeling.
Okay. When you're feeling it, you kind of want to retreat a little bit. Okay. So that's interesting that you're aware of that, because that can be a couple things that you may be deeming it as like, oh, I'm pulling away because of this. And it may be just that, but there also may be some intuitive knowing to take a step back into stillness and some more silence and get more clear. Because you've been clear. You were like, I asked you and you were like, there's this, this, and this. You think that doesn't take self-awareness? So congratulations. You're already doing it, but you're deeming it, well, I kind of isolate, and it might be both and. I
Yeah.
came from very either or, like this is this and this is that and this is right and that is wrong. Da, da, da. I grew up in that whole world. So now I think I'm a little bit of a rascal, not a rebel. I'm like, who said a rebel's bad? I think a rebel is more like a rascal. You're willing to be like, I didn't like it either or. That felt too constrictive for me. I love both and. It's both and. Why can't it be both? It's everything. It's everything. We're everything. We're not just one thing, and no one else is either. We're complex and layered, and we're both and. We're all of it. We're limitless. So, okay. So you think about all of these things that have been playing out in your life. Some may be guiding you towards more awareness by being more kind of pulling away. Great. But I want to, like, as you sit in this awareness, I'm not going to keep you there very long. You're doing great, Brooke. But in this feeling, this awareness of what it feels like to live in the prison of, I'm not allowed to fail. I cannot fail. I'm not allowed to fail. How does that feel in your body?
It feels heavy, like a big responsibility. But as I say that, I'm like, it's not my responsibility. So
Yeah,
it
you
just
can
feels
start
heavy.
to see, yeah, there's a little few of the chains are coming off, that wet, heavy blanket of responsibility. Like to carry that, like if it were a bag of sand or something or some weight. I know you work in a gym and you have the weights and all the things. So to carry, like, think about carrying an extra 20 pounds around, like everywhere, like a vest that you just put it all over you. And you're like, it's not just one thing you have. It's like this, it's holding all of you down. Think of like slowly poking. If it was filled with sand and you could poke it and the sand started like coming out the side.
Yeah.
I want to believe that that would start to feel lighter, and lighter as in less heavy, and lighter as in less dark. Both and, right? So
Yeah.
let's switch gears here. Thank you for sitting in that kind of, but also having like, but wait, this is starting to dissolve. This is awesome. This is why I love this work. I'm like, just stay right here. If you can get out of the weeds of our humanity and come up to the highest perspective, soul perspective. If your soul came here to learn a lesson, a soul lesson, and it came to believe, because on purpose, there was a reason that this was conditioned. I am not allowed to fail. What do you think the soul lesson is from believing that in the beginning? Like, who have you come to be now? What are the characteristics of Brooke that you love because you believed that? Can you think of any?
Yeah. I think I've pushed myself in ways that have become very powerful. I feel like I'm very capable, and I do a lot because
Yes.
I believe that,
Yes,
and I
you
never
do.
failed.
They're the power of belief. So we just are, what we're doing is we're tweaking energy here, because you've always believed you were capable. You knew that. That's deep. That is deep. I feel you. I see you. I've observed you. You are so capable. And yet, for the right reasons, not to show up to prove to anyone, and for sure not yourself, I'm enough. Look at me go. I will never fail. Not that. That is a different energy. That's competition and fear, fear-based competition. Like we're actually competing with other people and ourselves. Like what? It's limitless. Opportunities and the love, it's limitless. There's no competing. There's abundance. This world, money, everything is abundant. When we believe the lie that we are lacking any of those things, then we are competing out of fear. So to hear you say that is, I am capable. Yes. Power behind that statement is based in love. You are capable to trust yourself, to show up, to be like, oh, I'm not available for that right now. And it's not your responsibility, and you're still safe, and there's space here, and there's trust. You're going to say yes when you can and no when you can't. And they trust Brooke because Brooke trusted herself first. That's the key. Your power lies not in your capability to do all of these things. Your power lies in your ability to be safe with Brooke, to trust and believe Brooke's words. My yes will mean yes. It's what, I don't know if you've read the Four Agreements, but that book, he talks about your impeccable word. And that isn't so much about being honest with others. It is, but the genesis of it is being honest with yourself and tend to yourself in an honest, pure intention of love, of compassion here first. When you are doing that, there is no need for boundaries. Have a noble threshold, and it surrounds you, and you get to trust when it's more permeable or when it's impermeable, right? So it's this, and everybody's is going to be different, and yours is going to come and go through time and with different circumstances, different people standing in front of you, different times of the month on your moon cycle. Like it's always going to be ebbing and flowing, because that's the world in nature we live in: contraction, expansion. And our soul is doing it, and we are doing it, and it's this beautiful dance if we allow it to be. When we resist the contraction, which you have been, because you're like, I have to be, I'm not allowed to be anything but this. But look at the seeds, the trees that have grown because you know you're capable. Now bring that capability back home and start trusting that you do know how to tend to yourself. You do know how to slow down. You can't make a mistake, because every mistake is your perfect curriculum that brings you back to, I just learned something. Yeah, it was kind of hard, but isn't that why I'm here? Then life becomes your ally. You're not fighting and resisting perfection or competition or fear. You are your unique expression of love. And you get to keep testing and experimenting. What does that feel like? I don't know. So you just told me I I actually am capable. Capable of not just being perfect, but being whole here, because you already are. So now you're remembering. So I want you to close your eyes, Brooke. Is it true that you were not allowed to fail?
Nope.
No. Yeah, that younger version of you, she came to believe that because of everything she saw going on. And that is okay. There's so much compassion for her. So now, Brooke, what becomes available in a world where that belief no longer exists? That's not true. What becomes available for you now in this world where that is not true in the absence of that old belief?
I feel like it makes available more balance and calm.
More balance and calm. Ah, okay. I'll take some of that too. And so it goes. So like as you think, okay, so what can I become? And then what world opens up now to Brooke as she steps into what is the new I am statement you can think of? You said I am capable, but maybe it's something else. Like if you think, okay, what would be a new I am statement to claim?
Um, I am honest with myself.
Okay. Yeah. Anything else? I'm honest with myself.
Well, and others.
Yeah, well, and others. Okay, for sure. That's all automatically going to happen when we're honest with ourselves. That's a natural byproduct, I promise. Okay. What does it feel
Mm,
like in your body as you think about living in a world now? Like, I'm not going to have you open your eyes yet, but eventually, when you do, I'm going to have you present yourself as a new version of Brooke that believes in the power that has just come through. How does that feel in your body? I am,
mm, it feels very happy.
hey, I am happy. The frequency of happiness. Allow that to move through you. Joy. I have joy. Did you know that of the primary emotions, there's four: fear, anger, grief, and joy. That is a primary emotion, joy. So to feel that, like take that in. What does it feel like to live in a world where you're free to have joy? That primary emotion, to tap into that frequency instead of the others that are still human, and yet we cling to them believing they come to stay. They never come to stay, but we keep them in our thoughts and they stay. So I am honest with myself. I am happy. I have joy. I am joy. So take that in, breathe
Mm.
that in, what it feels like in the new identity that you're starting to step into and tap into that frequency. Right now, it feels lovely. And you'll flip-flop back and forth between I am human and my life, this is happening right now. Okay. But you also know I am joy. I'm happy. I'm honest. When I'm feeling a certain feeling, I trust myself because I'm honest. I'm feeling this way. This is real. Okay. And I can trust myself to hold myself through that feeling because it will go and I return back to my state of joy, which I be. So that's what you get to do every now moment is to come back to the frequency of home in the center of your heart. where the frequency of joy and love and honesty, acceptance, embracing of Brooke feels like. So take a couple deep breaths here. Keep your eyes closed. And when you're ready, your intention before you open your eyes is that you will be presenting a new Brooke with a new identity, that I am happy. I am honest with myself and other. I'm authentic. I'm authentic, Brooke. I'm safe to fail because failure is just more learning. There is no such thing as failure. So as you step into that and this new identity of who you be, how you get to show up for yourself in your marriage, in your relationships with your children, as a mom, as a friend, someone who serves, she serves herself, trusts herself to serve herself, so she can go out and serve in her community in all the ways that have felt she knows she's capable of, but now the energy that she's doing it with is so much more powerful because it radiates naturally up from inside of her. How does that feel? So get ready to open your eyes. When you're ready, go ahead and open your eyes, presenting the new Brooke to the world. Hey, welcome. Welcome back.
Thank you.
Brooke, thank you. Thank you for being willing to sit and be really vulnerable and honest with yourself first. And can you see, I don't know if anyone's going to say anything in the chat. I think people were saying things. They were like, wow, I second this so really. So much love for you. Read the chat. Your work is deep and beautiful. To fail is to learn and grow. Yeah, all of that. And every single one of us has a different version of that going on in us, where we believe that
Yeah.
we need to be a certain way to have value or worth, to be capable in this life. And the beauty when we start to realize there are no mistakes. The source, God, Christ created an ordered, perfect whole experience for us to come and expand into the love that we are. So beautiful. I've learned and benefited from this. Gotta run. Thank you, Emily. So beautiful. Thank you. So
Thank
Brooke,
you.
I wanted to answer your question. It's Madeline or Madeline?
Sorry, it's Madeline.
Okay, I haven't met you before. So
I'm so happy to be here. I just want to say thank you so much for opening up your energy in this space. It's really special and sacred, and I'm really happy to be here.
wow, I'm so grateful you're here. I don't know you, so I'm meeting you for the first time and my heart's about to explode. Thank you so much here.
I feel the same way.
Okay. So you said, I have a question about other people's frequency and how it can affect us, and what are the best ways to take care of our own energy field when this occurs? Okay, beautiful question. And
Mhm.
my experience with that has been when people, now I'm assuming when you're talking about other people's energy, what that can also mean, it can mean in their silence, but I'm assuming it may be both and. That when people are projecting, because people who are in a lot of pain and don't have a lot of self-awareness, they will project. We're all doing it. The world is neutral, right? We're projecting out, or people are projecting onto us their pain, their fear, their anger, right? Their grief, and their joy too. We feel it all. But there are three ways that we can respond or react to someone else's expression of pain, right? When it's bleeding out, we can call it that, where it's just being exposed and projected. The first way is to reflect it back. And we can either make it larger when we do that by reflecting it back and saying, oh, yeah, here's this. And then we're acting from a place of our own fear, right? And our own wounding. And then it just becomes this entanglement of negative energy that never served anyone. The second way to respond is it's also based in fear, but it's more yin. This reflection is a yang, like a masculine, wounded masculine action. It's out. And the yin would be to absorb it out of fear, out of my not enoughness, the thing I came to believe, that I'm actually going to take on your pain and make it mean something about me now. So now I haven't reflected it, I've absorbed it and internalized it. And now I've just fed my own ego's belief that I'm separate from the love or separate from source or whatever. The third way is to become, and this is the work that I do. This is why I am here. Or at least I believe that I am here, because this has been my own work for years now. And it is to become an alchemizer. An alchemista. It's a female alchemist. And that is to take in whatever energy is in front of you, knowing that you have the power and are capable of transmuting it back into love. Because if time is relative, this is where I geek out on quantum physics and spirituality, metaphysics and quantum physics, that when we are, I just lost my train of thought. When someone is in front of us and there's this energy that is negative, when we can believe in our power to be the power of love. Okay, that was it. Love already won. Time is relative. There is no future time when love is going to win. Oh, love's going to win in 2034. Or when Christ comes again or whatever. Love already won. Love already won because there isn't time. We think there is, so we think about it in the context of a linear thing, but it already won. So that means love is so embracing and so unconditional when it's capital L, capital T, love, that it allows fear to exist because it knows fear is part of the plan of expansion. Because that's what we're living in. We think that there's like love, fear is over here and love is over here and truth is over here, right is here and wrong is here. No, it's all one. There is no polarity. So love allows the experience of fear to exist because it one makes the other true. You can't have one without the other. So as that power, the capability to hold on to that powerful knowing creates in you a resonance that is so refined, it's like we become a refinery. And we allow negative energies to flow in, and we know we have the power to transmute that back into the love that it is. And we can send it back to them. It's through our being an alchemist that we become a refinery, but what is it doing to us? It refines us as we do it. So not only are we the refiner, but we are being refined, and it's always a win-win. Think of everything in the universe. We think of things as bad, but it's our ally, it's our curriculum, it's helping us grow. So then everything becomes our ally. Everything is a win-win. Nobody loses, ever. So we bring it in, and we trust ourselves to be safe to become an alchemista and say, bless it and let it be. That is not my responsibility I can shine, but I'm not going to make sure that it gets in every crack and heals them whole. That is their path and their own responsibility. And that is not a mean thing. That is the most loving thing I can do. Because I'm saying to them without saying it, and energy is more powerful than words, and our words have a vibration too, as our thoughts and emotions about it. But if we believe and we say, I trust you to have your path, that is the most loving thing. Because we're saying, I trust you. I actually trust you to have your own path and grow in the way that you are supposed to. Not because I'm going to make it so, because you're already whole and you're figuring it out too. Does that make sense, Madeline?
Yeah, it absolutely does. And I'm a big like formula person, so having like a 1, 2, 3 kind of breakdown is really helpful for me to digest all of it.
Oh,
If I don't know how much time we have, but just to very quickly give like minor context to this, um, I just went on vacation with my mom and family, and I have been working through so many themes with her, and I've really been diving a lot into subconscious work. So I have like a good background, at least of like the understanding of things. And I know I cannot change her, and I know she is the way that she is. And my continued work, of course, especially with such a special relationship with my mom in general, is to love her for who she is, and she's only at her level of awareness and all of those good things. But when I was around her, she's unfortunately, fortunately for me, a really big victim. And everything that I was around, it was like I was walking on eggshells, and I like it made me like sick to my stomach to even be around her, which broke my heart because like I fucking, excuse my French, everybody, love my mom. So
yeah.
it made me really, sad, but then I'm not trying to project my emotions on how she should be or any of that kind of thing. But I have been, I've just had this back and forth while I was there. And I was like, I'm just gonna maybe wait till I get home. And that's why I really appreciate this sacred space, because it gives me the opportunity to get this off my chest of what when she's acting like that, I almost don't know how to act. And I try to send her love, but it like, of course there's some resentment there. And again, we could go very deep into this, and I'm trying very hard not to. But yeah, I just I don't know what to do with myself and my energy. And maybe you already said it, it's just kind of sending love, but it feels like something deeper needs to occur for me for it to not feel heavy for me, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it makes perfect sense. So thank you for sharing that, first of all, being vulnerable, coming
Mhm.
here, not knowing me. And I'm honored that you would come into this space with such a wide open heart. I really appreciate
Yeah.
that. And I think others do too. They would say the same. So your the challenge that feels like a challenge is it feels real. It is real, right? And she's your mother. And I'm assuming that this pattern of your experience, you kind of alluded to that, like I grew up living in feeling and seeing modeled the victimhood. She's a victim of all these things, and it's this heavy energy you felt. And I'll get to that, but so that's a pattern that has been going on through your life for a very long time. And I sense that is a heavy thing because you want to be around your mother. You love her. You effing love her. Right? And that's beautiful. It's beautiful. These relationships that we have with our moms, each of us, they are complex and they are layered. And that first awareness that we have, probably sometimes we don't have it for a long time, but when we start to understand their humanness and that they aren't perfect and that they were never meant to be and that they had their own trauma, there's so much grace, right? And I see you, I feel you. You've already arrived at that space. Like, you know what? Bless her heart. Her lived experience was ABC. No wonder this is playing out because she was part, if not part, she was raised by the silent generation. Nobody was talking about emotions, about regulating emotions, loving ourselves, showing up for ourselves. What we saw modeled and what they saw modeled was giving to depletion and exhaustion, do it better, have more kids, do more, be more, right? That's we saw modeled. And nobody was talking about the depression, the anxiety that comes from ignoring your body and the nervous system that's so dysregulated all the time. So we stay busier. So you think of how this pattern is part in that baton. Welcome to the human race. So it is playing out in your mom. And I want to acknowledge, first of all, Madeline, I don't know you at all, but you are a change maker or you wouldn't have arrived in your family. And everyone that I work with just happens to be a change maker because they are 95% subconsciously doing things in our day. But when we can become a little more subconscious dominant, as in, why does this keep happening? What is the pattern that I'm seeing? Why do I feel this way? Do I have to feel this way? Do I like feeling this way? How would I rather feel? Is that positive psychology? No, it's not. What is my inner dialogue? What are my thoughts about myself in this world? Did I create those thoughts? Did I just see that modeled by the silent generation that didn't have any tools or resources to know how to show up for themselves, let alone me? So there's so much grace. There's no blame. So I want to acknowledge that you having awareness about you're not perpetuating victimhood. You are
No.
not perpetuating blame. Well, she did that and made me feel this way. Okay. I'm going to tell a quick story and then I want to get back to your thing because it speaks to this. Thich Nhat Hanh, I've probably told this again, but I'm going to say it again because it's so powerful. Thich Nhat Hanh tells a story of a Buddhist monk who wanted to go out and have like peace and quiet and meditate. So he took his little rowboat, went out to the middle of this beautiful, large, peaceful lake. And he was there. It was just pure stillness, no wind, just out there, beautiful day. And he's in bliss for like 2 hours. And he's just like, oh, I'm one with nature, I'm one with everything. And all of a sudden he feels a bang on his boat. Another boat had hit his boat. And he immediately had anger. He's like, how dare someone come and hit my boat? Couldn't they see that I was like in bliss? They would have had to come all the way. He's like thinking of they would have had to row all the way out here to get to my boat and hit my boat. And he has this righteous indignation and he goes to open his eyes and he looks and it's an empty boat. There's no one in that boat. And immediately he starts laughing because he has the awareness. Oh, anger lives in me. I can blame an empty boat. How could I blame an empty boat? That lived in me. My anger lived in me. It didn't live in the boat. We have empty boats hitting us all the time. And we see everyone's reacting to the boats that are hitting them because what it's doing is it's triggering something that lives in here that wants some attention from you. It's saying, will you please see me? Because life is our ally. It's giving us empty boats all the time. Don't shoot. It's like the messenger is the boat and it has a message. Don't shoot the messenger. Say, thank you. Thank you, life. That's my curriculum. That's my workshop. And now I get to go and hold that part of me that got angry. Why? Why is there anger in me? So my question for you, as you think about your experiences with your mom, this goes way back. How does it make you feel? I think you kind of mentioned it, but I'm curious. This obstacle, this thing, how does it make you feel when it's happening?
Yeah, it's like this walking on eggshells kind of feeling that just makes me like sick to be around.
Okay. Okay. And it's a familiar feeling because you said this has been going on for a long time. So I'm going to ask, just like I did, Brooke, and know that your subconscious will give you a hit of whatever it's supposed to be for now. And it's both and it's all the things because this has been going on for a minute in your life. Can you think of the first time that you started to feel that overwhelm? Like, ugh.
Um, I mean, I can't think of like a specific time because I almost feel like I don't want to say always been there because I don't think I was thinking that when I was 4, but
Yeah.
um, it's just been such a common theme that I don't even think I can think of one thing. And I think what's just hard for me is like I can think in my head these things, but I can't embody it towards her
Mhm.
um, because the feeling is just so like out to get you that it's like almost like no, don't get me.
Right.
um, and then of course there's so many projections that I immediately try and stop myself because I don't want to. She is all perfect. She's whole. She's what she is. That's how it goes. I can't change her. That's all of this, and that's what makes me even more bothered is that it bothers me because I'm like, ah, I thought I have the tools, but I can't. The feeling is still seeping into my skin, and that's the part that frustrates me.
Yeah, you explained that very eloquently. Thank you.
Thanks.
I feel that. So, what I sense here, like as you're speaking, and even when you took your thing and put it up, there's a sense of like where we're going to go to that, like I am that basic core belief that you said when you were like 4. I mean, this was happening. Maybe it's like, I'm not safe.
With her,
Well,
I
maybe
haven't.
it's
God.
so I don't want to put words in your mouth, but kind of coming to that, like if you had to give it an I am statement, what does it feel like from just so primal and so simple? I am or I am not, something like unto that.
It's so interesting how these I am statements, like, sometimes they're like, they jump right at you and sometimes they don't. And I guess it's like, God, I don't even know. It's like, I'm not, it's more like I don't even want to be that. Like, it's more like I'm sad for you. It's more like,
Oh.
this is like, girl, like, look at yourself in the mirror. Like, like, how can you not hear yourself? And uh, I guess I don't even know. I guess I'll have to stop there.
Well, this is the awareness that you have as an adult, because when your mom's doing these things, you're like, Mom, can't you see? You're whole. You don't need to blame, like radical self, but you're right. You're like, you can say those things, but if she is not ready, it's not on her path right now.
Hmm.
When? I don't know if you believe in multiple lifetimes. I didn't used to, and now I'm like, doesn't that make more sense sometimes when you think of that? Like, that's her one chance, like to expand. I don't know. I don't know how that works, but it's very interesting because it's like you showing up in your power saying, I I want I do love my mom, and yet this is still hard. So tending to the wound that as a little girl, there was something you came to believe about yourself when your mom would have these episodes, and you finally had awareness of, I don't like how that feels.
Hmm.
That feels unsafe. Not that your mom isn't safe, but those feelings, what I'm feeling right now, the energy of victimhood,
Hmm.
foreign to me. It
Hmm.
feels unsafe. Maybe am I safe here? Not that you don't trust your mom, but am I safe to feel this? Because I don't know
Yeah,
what to do with this.
I see what you're saying. I think the safe thing immediately turned me off just because my mom has made me safe. But when you
Yeah.
say it like that, those feelings in that energy surely did not make me feel safe enough to be me because I had to like, what am I gonna say? Or if I say the right thing, is it gonna help her? Is it gonna like set it off or like that kind of thing?
Sort of on kind of like eggshells, you said,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, for
So
sure.
maybe it's like, I'm not safe to be authentic Madeline.
Hmm.
If I show up and I speak my truth, which might be like, Mom, I don't know, we would say as a little kid, maybe something really honest, like, I don't like
I
it when you talk like that, you know?
I feel like she can't necessarily be happy for me also. Like I strongly feel that. Like, I know that she can be from the outside in, but I think wholeheartedly the victimhood just like comes in so hot that I think it takes over sometimes.
Yeah, it does. There's a lot of dynamics here that as a therapist, there's little flags that I'm hearing you say.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, I think I can see a deeper thing going on here, which I think you know.
Mhm.
So that right there, in the context of that, um, It's really hard to heal something they're not aware of,
Yeah.
right? And you know this, but I'm going to say something to you that I don't know how it will land. The first time I heard it, it pierced my heart because I had been in relationship with a similar energy for my whole marriage. And coming out of it finally, almost 9 years ago now, it wasn't until I think I was in grad school, kind of learning about certain dynamics in relationships, that I was like, oh. And then when I heard this, I was like, it's not what I want to hear. But they're like, that type of energy can only thrive if there is a victim.
Mhm.
Their energy of victimhood, if we have been in it for so long, we start to believe, no, it's so unknown that actually we believe it, but it's not conscious that we are victims because we're not changing it. We're not putting a boundary. We're not saying no. We are codependent on our need to be needed by this person, this entity, this energy, that we are not taking care of ourselves. And that is victimhood. A victim is someone who's not saving themselves. Like they're waiting for someone else to come and save them. That is victimhood. And blaming other people for how I feel when everything's an empty boat. So you, having lived in that, you're like, but I'm not a victim. Look at me, self-aware and stuff. But there's subconsciously, you will feel more free when you are sitting in front of your mom, when you can finally hold the version of you that ever believed that she was a victim to her mom, or that there was nothing she could do, or she's powerless to stand in your authenticity and give some space and still love your mom, but do it in the way for you that is really authentic and honest for you. And that will change every day. It will change as you go on your path. Because as you give that love here, and no, I'm not a victim. I will always show up for myself. I will love my mom. And if anything, I will demonstrate to her through my loving of myself, the energy of abundance, which is the opposite of victimhood and lack. It's empowerment with the power of love. And as you demonstrate that and stand in front of her and all of her energy that's swirling and you're feeling it, you will start to have a freedom, a sense of freedom. And it isn't just about like, well, I'm free, I can go my own way. No, that's not what that is. The intention behind the energy of love is that it still is embracing and accepting everything just as it is because you've done it here first. That's the power. I am free to know that I can love myself and know how much, what my noble threshold looks like with my mom on any given day at any given moment, how permeable or not. And as I show up in my radiance and my love for myself and her, she will feel that. I venture to guess if you've ever tried to say anything, it's like talking to a brick wall. I don't know if you've ever tried to say anything, but however,
Yeah, she doesn't take the victim feedback very well. I mean, she doesn't want to be anything like how her mom was, and she doesn't think that she is, when in reality she is like carbon copy, which is beneficial for me. So I can't knock anything. I
look at your path. I mean, are you your mother's daughter randomly?
100%. Yeah, no. No, I chose her and I met
Her
her.
mother's daughter randomly. Like this is the thing. These are I don't know. Like I've had the weirdest thought, like, are we our ancestors? And if everything's happening right now, we're just healing all the versions of our ancestors and us as we go. I don't know. I don't like that's kind of way out there. But I do believe that when we heal this instrument and starts to change the frequency back to the love that we are, like the remembering over and over back to our wholeness, that it isn't just for us because we are all connected. It goes out, it ripples out. Somehow it heals your mom. Somehow it heals her mom, who probably
Yeah.
isn't living still. Maybe she is. Maybe she's gone already. I don't know the age of your mom, but if they're still alive, then certainly, well, even if they're not, it's energy. Energy goes throughout and it heals and it helps them come back to their wholeness. And that's
Mm.
how you're a change maker. You are the strongest link in the hope for all of us collectively to start raising our frequency back to the wholeness that we are, right?
Mm.
And that is beautiful. You doing that, Brooke, you doing that, Camilla, Isabel, Debbie, anyone else who's watching it, when we start to have radical self responsibility, which is radical self love, and stop saying, why does this keep happening to me? And start saying, what must I have come to believe about myself when I was younger that wasn't true, that I've lived in subconsciously, that keeps creating my reality through my thoughts and my feelings and my attention to it? It's growing it. Ah, I'm free when I start to realize this has been not, it's created so much suffering. So, Madeline, if you had to tell me some of the negative consequences that have come from maybe you believing, well, I'm safer if I don't say anything, I'm safer if I'm not authentic. What would you say the I am statement is, and what are some of the negative consequences that you have felt play out in your life?
Um, I don't even, I really don't even know. Do you mind like reframing it just so I can like get myself back
Yeah.
into the
Oh,
question?
yeah. I kind of went around in a
No,
circuitous.
you're good. You're good.
Coming back here is as a little girl from young, feeling that heaviness and that responsibility of like, oh my gosh, it's really hard to be around this energy of victimhood. And what did I come to believe about me, about Madeline, when I was young, when I felt that happening, when that was playing out, when that was experienced over and over? Somehow, because we're young, we make things mean something about ourselves.
The first thing that came to mind was I'm not a good daughter.
Okay, okay. I'm not a good daughter because,
Because of the way that my mom is treating me or the way that she's making me feel based off of some things that I would do. Like maybe things would just be a bigger deal than they kind of should have been.
okay, okay, okay. Yes, that feels more aligned. Like I'm not good because she's saying these things and it makes me feel awful and sad. I must not be a good daughter or she would
Yeah.
say these things to me.
Like I want to even give like a very quick example. Like
Yes.
my grandfather turned 90 and that's why we went on this family trip. So it was a on a really celebration of cuteness.
Oh, of
Yeah.
cute.
And so we were walking by this shop and there was a little green dress outside and my grandfather was like, I really think you'd look lovely in that dress. Like I have to get that for you. You are gonna look so good. You're my birthday date. Like I want to buy it for you. And I was like, no, you don't have to, but he's like insisted. So whatever. He bought the dress and I walked out of it feeling so cute and so happy that he saw it, thought, visualized it would look good on me, wanted me to have it, went in for it, like all of the things. And then my mom was like, "Oh wow, must be nice. Like I would like a dress from my dad. That's cool." And it's like, why did you actually have to even go there? There's no reason. And it's though like that is a perfect small example of my life.
Okay, can you see how she made that mean something about her wound?
Completely.
She
Completely.
had zero lens,
Hmm.
Madeline's experience.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
And as a mother-daughter relationship, that can be, that can feel like you're bad.
Yeah,
Done
that's exactly
something
it.
wrong, right? I've done something wrong for her to say that. And for how many years of your life have you held that belief? It's my fault.
Yeah, I'm 32, so it's been a while.
Okay. So much compassion for Madeline for taking that on. Like, if this is happening in my reality, I must be the reason. You were so young. Of course you came to believe that. How could you believe anything else? No one was there to say, honey, this is the dynamic that's playing out in your life. It played out in hers. And now you get to go and change this. Look at you. You're doing it. You were the change maker. Was it really true that it was your fault that your mom would get upset?
No.
Ooh.
No.
But it felt so real, didn't it? It felt so real because you were her daughter and she was like your God. Like our parents are our first gods. Like we see them and they take care of us and they're everything. They
Yeah.
are
I'm
on
an only child in my parents' divorce, so it
a
was
oh, okay, that goes even deeper into
odd.
the dynamic of, oh, she was your everything.
Mhm.
Okay, honey, Madeline, you've been carrying this for a very long time. Like I'm very touched and very honored to sit with you. And I can tell everyone's feeling this too. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you for listening.
Yeah. And your mom, so much compassion for her. Yes, for you, but for her to for you to be able to understand, of course she acted that way. She had the same thing done to her, and she had zero resources, no one to talk to, no one talking about self-love and victimhood and energy and narcissism. Nobody was talking about that, but they were there. All of these dynamics were playing out. And that's why we are starting to evolve as a human race, because now we're talking. We're opening our hearts. We're not just thinking about things and then shutting down. We're opening our hearts and saying, I'm going to get on this thing. I don't know this woman, and I'm going to share what has been moving through me because I trust me, Madeline. I trust Madeline to know how to show up for myself. And you did. I'm so glad you did. Of course, you came to believe that about yourself. How could you not? With all that was going on and still, honey, still is going on. The courage that you've had to still say, I love my mom. I love her. She is doing the best she can with what she's been given. Holy cow. She raised this beautiful being right here. That's freaking awesome. So there's that,
Totally.
right? And I
Yeah.
see that you feel this, and that is more beautiful than anything. So the negative you've talked about. Okay, yes. Now I'm going to, and you've sat in it, you've just felt it. Good job. You're doing so well. Now to like, not that we've been in the weeds so much, because I see and feel you have this perspective of like coming way, way, way up here. What are the gifts, the characteristics that have grown like little gifts, gems of wisdom and knowing that have come into your life because you once believed that you were not a good daughter and that I have failed my mom or I'm not safe to be me because then I'm going to get punished if I show up and say something wrong. I don't know what it'll be exactly that might set it off. That's where I'm at. And then it's kind of gone on through your life and you've cleaned it. You've done a lot of cleaning, I can tell, but there's little bit of residue there still. Or it wouldn't, it's showing us where we're still not free. So it's a gift. This is a gift. To feel
Totally.
it is a gift. It's like, thank you. I can be free. I get to be free. So what
And
has,
I so viciously, well, viciously is kind of a dramatically negative word, but I so wholeheartedly want to be free from this feeling because I just want to like love and accept and have this, I mean, resentment, sure, but it's this, it just feels sticky and feels heavy and kind of what you said a while ago, where it's like subconscious work is so exciting because it's like, oh my gosh, like I get to do this by myself. Like, are you kidding? This is so cool. And
Yes.
I really am working so hard to sift through everything to get to this point because I feel like this heaviness with my mom is so outdated for me. In my evolution, and being around her is important to me and the life that I want to live with future children and whatnot. So yeah, it's this stickiness that I'm still just trying to work through.
Yeah, and it's just a little bit sticky and it's so normal. Before it was heavy. Now
Yeah.
it's sticky. Can you feel the difference? Like
Yeah.
sometimes when I sit with people, I'm like, let's just stop and pause for a minute because you are changing identities. You are literally cleaning out the conditioning that most people never do.
Mm.
Our grandparents weren't doing it, and theirs and the like on and on. We are finally doing the work of cleaning what was heavy, and now it's a little sticky. Yes, and here you are, cleaning to be actually untethered and free from this old belief. So, you, like if you had to say, what are some of the soul lessons that you've learned and also the characteristic in yourself that has made you who you are? What is it that you love about Madeline that came maybe because of this old thing playing out in your life?
Um, I guess I'm like I'm just such a sweet person and I've always tried to be that. And even if my mom saw, I mean, I know that she sees it. I think there's just whatever her own stuff to show it sometimes. But um I know like I more so am like honored to hold the torch to not have to pass this on to my children. It actually like it's like I feel now so grateful for it because it's going to end here, and that's why I think I want to dig deeper into it because I it's just like a non-negotiable for me. Um and with that, of course, it's led me to be more empowering in my decisions and how to not feel that way or not play into those kind of situations. And I I hate to say that everything, or not everything, but a lot of things that she was is a lot of things that I'm not going to be. But that in itself is a gift. Like, of course, I honor all of the incredible things that she's given me. And I mean, she was a catalyst for change in my generation and my lineage. So I'm grateful for that in order to come through me. Um, but a positive I would say is I really just try to like outdo the victimhood mentality because again, it's so not an option for my life and offspring.
Yes, okay, that is beautiful. I mean, I'm certain that you've sat with this awareness before.
Mhm.
I feel you and your path and how far you've come, the goodness of your heart, right? You said I'm very kind or I'm very nice or whatever. There's a goodness. There's a goodness in you. And your willingness to of your soul and your whole being, because that's who you be, to take on this experience and be able to transmute it. You said, I will not pass this along. I am a torch bearer standing at the crossroads, not just to hand the baton of all the stuff, but because I've cleaned it up and what I'm handing is something more refined, less heavy, less sticky for posterity, for all that is yet to come. And it's not just your children, it affects everything. It goes because we're all connected. So that is beautiful. And whenever we are doing this work, that's what we're giving. We give it to ourselves, the grace to not blame anyone, anything outside of us. That's the radical self-love and self-responsibility of what must I have come to believe about myself before I knew better that keeps playing out here. If there's a war in here, I promise you it's manifesting out because the world is neutral. It's a mirror and it's showing us where we're still not free. So all the empty boats that are hitting us, we're blaming other people. No, turn in and love that version of you back home. You don't avoid it. We're all avoiding it. We stay busier. We numb out. We like all the ways we numb out, all the addictions we have to fear and thinking and scrolling and sex and drugs and rock and roll, all the things, right? And we do it because we're human and we want to avoid the thing that's painful. And as kids, it works. It's a mechanism until we become adults, and it's time to say, that is not working. It actually never worked. It was a mechanism that I used to run and hide and whatever, all the things that we do. And of course we do that. That's brilliant. But now you turning back to you and giving so much adoration to yourself and back to your mom. We want to villainize the people in our lives that we think make us feel suffering. That keeps us in victimhood, and it keeps us from learning the lesson we came to learn. So if I was born in this family under these circumstances, it's not random. That's your curriculum. And your soul chose a difficult curriculum. She's a badass, or she would never have signed up for this. I want everyone to remember that. Whenever we feel heavy things, we're like, I know who I be. I'm capable. I don't have to do it perfect. I can never get it wrong, but I will see every trigger, every empty boat as a way to expand my soul. Ah, I'm still not free. That's sticky. I'm going to go love that version of me back home to my wholeness. I'm going to talk to her and talk to her about the negative consequences that have come from believing that lie, and the beauty and the expansion that came because of it. So, was it ever true, Madeline, that you were a bad daughter?
No way.
Hey,
No
was
way.
it ever true that you weren't safe to be you?
No. And another thing I wanted to add, because this just kind of came as a download to me, is that I feel like in some ways I've also played small because I felt like she wasn't able to attain what I had because of the way that she made me feel bad for it.
Of course, the dress is just one little example.
Yeah,
That's
for sure.
hard for her. Subconsciously, there is a competition, and it's based in fear. Whenever we're competing, it's out of fear, it's not love. And her desire to love her daughter, she didn't ever have anyone model it to her. She
Very
doesn't know what that would be like.
totally.
She
I
wants
have to
to
say,
trying, yes.
yeah, yeah. And I have to say, I'm really grateful for that download because instead of it making me in the past, maybe even like 6 months ago, me might want to play into the playing small, but I can see now with such clear eyes and a big heart that playing big is actually the role that I have to step into.
Yeah. And when you say big, I know you mean this, but I want to explain this to anyone who's listening who might think it's other than your authenticity showing up. So playing small is covering up the parts of you that are authentic. And we keep them separate, and because we're feeling separate from the love that we are. So being big is stepping into your wholeness, your love. That's big. That's authentic. And it scares people. We aren't scared of being small. We do that all the time. We play small all the time. Even like, I cannot fail, that keeps us small because we don't want to try, like, we want to be perfect, but then what if I fail, right? So we are actually more scared of our authenticity, our being, like, our love. What? We're scared to be the love that we are. Like, how backwards? Like, if that isn't the most contrasting thing from stepping into the limitless, powerful being that we are. So you stepping into your wholeness more and more is being big, right? It's showing up and saying, wow, I love myself, Mom. Let me tell you how much I love me. And let me tell you how much I love you. You raised me. You don't need to say all the things she taught you from a different lens, but you learn powerful things through her. So there's so much love for that too. Wow, what a gift. What a gift for her. That makes you the best daughter that she could ever have had, right?
Yes.
So, Madeline, I want to ask you, is it true that you're not a good daughter or that you're not safe to show up big in the love that you are?
No, I feel very inspired to be more of my authentic self and not have to feel small because she doesn't feel the ways that I do.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I feel you when you say this. Like, close your eyes now and like think of what becomes available to Madeline in a world where that old belief is gone. It doesn't exist anymore. You know you are free to be big, to be the love that you are, and to be the best daughter, that it was never true. What becomes available to you now?
Freedom.
So what's your new I am statement when you feel this in your body?
Mm,
New way to be.
I think is, well, I want to say when I am, but I am authentically me, and when I do so, I I want to say like expanding. It's an expansion. Like it feels bigger, and when it feels bigger, it feels exciting, which makes me want to do it.
Oh my gosh, that was so beautifully explained. It's like, I am limitless. I am limitlessly expanding into my more wholeness, more love that I be. And that is exciting. Can you feel that in your cells?
Yeah, I
Feel
really
the
can't.
difference between suffering and this like contracted way to be and the opening of our heart and our cells and everything. It starts to change our DNA. Like I said to, I think I said it to Brooke, you're lighter and lighter, or maybe it's you, I said it too, but it starts to shift everything. And the frequency of love is like, oh my gosh, why wouldn't I always want to choose this? Why wouldn't
Mm,
I always want to feel joy and excitement and free and abundant and expanding and limitless? Because that's who I am. Now you're tapping in to who you be. When you stay in that frequency, everything around you changes. Your mom too.
mhm. Yeah,
Little
yeah,
bits
I
and pieces.
can I can see that, and I think what I was struggling with when I was in the space and the energy was I couldn't figure out how. I felt like the more I was me, the more it was like not okay. And I decided to feel into the small part because I felt bad and I felt, those kind of feelings instead of choosing the whole feeling of, well, this is me. I don't need to feel bad for being happy. I don't need to feel bad because my papa bought me a cute dress. Like I have nothing to feel bad for. And instead I took the role, which is okay because I'm human and this is big
Yeah. Well,
and
it's
it's
familiar. We go
yeah.
back to patterns because they're familiar. It's a frequency, it's energy, it's familiar. It's like it's literally in our nervous system. It feels like a warm blanket
Yeah.
because it's familiar, even if it's dysfunctional. We have thermostats as we're growing up. It's either really hot and spicy, people are yelling, everyone's angry, or it's really cold. And everyone's like, oh, we're not going to talk about that. We are silent. We're going to shove everything under the rug and as if it didn't happen. And we're going to
Mhm.
avoid it. And then there's the spectrum in between. But we come into relationships with other people. If they were raised hot and spicy and we were raised cold, we've got some work to do, right? And
Mhm.
nobody's talking about thermostats and stuff, but it's real. It's what we saw modeled. It's what we felt energetically. So you felt something, some sort
Mhm.
of way, and you are reprogramming all of that by
Mhm.
choosing love. And the power of that energy is the power of change. That's the power. And you're tapped into it.
Yeah.
Your big
Yeah.
huge heart.
I see how I think that, and I'm so happy to gain this clarity and awareness, and I can't thank you enough for letting me bounce this back off you and the energy that's in this container now. Because I think that's what I was, like I said, struggling with is the feeling is so, ugh, how do I, because I could tell my mind so many other things, but it wasn't wholeheartedly believing it based off of, like I said, so many things. So I am so grateful for the clarity, like I said, was that I was truly just playing small. And like, I don't want to play small to my mom. She doesn't want me to play small. Let's be real. So um, it feels a lot easier than it was. And I was looking for an answer that wasn't this. And I love when that happens.
Ah, Isn't that great when we allow ourselves to not know the answer and then suddenly magic happens? Because
Yeah.
we were like, well, I think it's going to happen this way, but we're actually limiting ourselves because we're limitless. We limit ourselves with our brain, our thinking brain. I love what you said that, yeah, there was just like this thing, and now it kind of cleared because we can do a lot of work and then try to manifest something or try to change something. And we aren't aware that there's still this little residue, like the stickiness you said, that still you're like, oh my gosh, I did believe that. And now I know it's not true. So you've just like obliterated it. Energetically, you've stepped into truth and in alignment with love that really clears out that old frequency of self-doubt,
Mhm.
of old belief, like, oh, that isn't who I be.
Mhm.
You keep raising your frequency to the wholeness. And I hate to talk about frequency like one is good and one is bad, because they're all here to teach us.
Mhm.
But when we can stay in the frequency of our wholeness, it helps all the parts of us that are still believing old lies come back home. So it is frequency. I mean, if we're suffering, we're living in a frequency that is less than who we be. So remember that whenever you are suffering in any way, it's because you have believed in a lie.
Mhm.
That sounds really basic, but it's true. It's true. We are walking around suffering as a collective society because we have forgotten the truth of who we actually be. Debbie said, thank you so incredibly much. Noelle, Brooke, and Madeline. Oh, my heart is so full of love and gratitude for you, extraordinary women, being vulnerable and helping us heal our hearts along with yours. You guys sharing what you did healed all of us. It heals me. That's why community is important. That's why I want to do this work. Yes, I do it one-on-one and it's powerful, but it's powerful here because you start to get a sense of, oh my goodness, this is personal and collective. We are all in this together. We are all walking each other home in the most beautiful way when we choose to be vulnerable and say, yeah, this is what's moving through my life. This is what's been moving through. And look at the freedom that's happened. So, Madeline, I'm not done with you. I want to ask you. So, your new I am statement, what did you say it is again? I want you to repeat it.
I think it was like 100 words, but I I want to say like when I am authentically myself, I am I'm expansive. I'm expanding more, like more than I think. I mean, when you said I'm limitless, like I love that word, so that's helpful too. But what I love about the I am statement that I'm at least trying to conform into words is it feels bigger and it feels doable because that's what I was really struggling with when I was there. I couldn't figure, I knew there was something for me in it, and I couldn't for the life of me get in there. And I almost didn't come to this session, and I was thinking about it and all those things. And yeah, I'm so happy that time and space allowed me to be in this moment, and especially yours as well, because it gave me something, like I said, bigger than I thought, and so much more sacred and easier than I thought.
It is. Look, Camilla says, wow, I'm baffled and in awe. Wish to share something really quick. Yes, let me just finish up with Madeline and then yes, Camilla. Um, Thank you for sharing that. What came to my mind intuitively as you said that, limitless. You liked limitless. I want you to go back. I don't know if you've watched Wicked, but Elphaba sings Unlimited. She talks about being limitless. But think about the theme of conditioning, fear, and love. And even the whole story of the Wizard of Oz is there's no place like home. That's where she's going. That's what she's trying to get. And all along she was seeking for it in something outside of her until finally she's like, oh my gosh, it's always been right here. There's no place like home. There's no frequency like love. It's always calling us back home if we allow it. If we will turn to ourselves in our when our emotions are screaming, crying out to us, please tend to me. Emotion is energy in motion, and it comes in as a messenger so we can get to know ourselves and love ourselves in deeper ways. and tend to ourselves and trust ourselves that we are safe to love ourselves through anything that comes up. So like, I am limitless. I'm free to be me, authentic me. That is so beautiful.
Yeah, it's huge for me when it comes to my mom. So I was expecting a sentence to be a little bit, I don't even know, not as more about me, but more pertaining her. And I can see how that wouldn't make sense.
No, because when you tend here, it changes everything out there. It changes your reality. Literally, what is happening in here is going to be mirrored out here. So pay attention. What are the boats? What are the empty boats? What are the messengers? What are they saying? What are they bringing? What gift are they bringing? So you can know yourself and love yourself in deeper ways. And everything changes out here because there's no more war. There's peace here. You know, your power lies in your ability to alchemize whatever happens, whatever's happening. Oh, I'm the alchemista. I didn't forget that. I know who I be, right? So thank you. So I didn't say this, Brooke, but I'm going to say this to both everyone. Our hypnagogic and our hypnopompic states are theta states, right as we're falling asleep or if we're in deep meditation. We lived our first 7 years in theta state. And so that means it's subconscious dominant. So every seed that was given to us as kids, we came to believe as pure truth. We never questioned it, and we weren't supposed to because that's the plan, is to have this experience. So we are seeded with the conditions on, well, this is the way to be, and the seeded are, it's not just words, it's what we saw. It's what we saw demonstrated and modeled around us. So then we become that until we finally say, we become like a little bit of a rascal, a rebel, which is a good thing, and say, is that true? Is that true that I'm that, or I'm this or the other? So when you're falling asleep or waking up, your I am statement, that is your new identity, is important to repeat, not just because the words have a vibration and a frequency, but your emotion about the feeling that I am limitless, or I am free to be authentic me, or I am capable, or I am whatever it is that that you are stepping into, and you bring the energy of the feeling as you're falling asleep, because now you're seeding it into seeding it in and seeding it, SEAT and SEED, seeding it into your subconscious. Now your subconscious, because it's neutral, it starts sending out a signal, but it's a new signal, and you get to watch in amazement. You don't have to know how, just watch in amazement as your reality starts to shift and change. Watch for life to give you opportunities to keep leveling up. I'm going to say that too, because that's a part of this. You know, we deem things good or bad. They aren't. They're always for us. Life is happening for us. It's not against us. Not happening to us. No need to resist. Stay in the flow. You don't need to know. And there's the magic. You start to change this. That's all you need to keep doing. That's all you need to do is just keep loving yourself. And oh my gosh, it grows, it grows, it grows. And then it's just like, wait a minute, my life is so beautiful. Everything is so beautiful suddenly. There's no need to fear. Life, it loves you, and it's doing everything for you. Trust it. Trust yourself. There's so much joy in knowing this. It's like if we could all go out and share this message with everyone, like, you create your reality. Do you like your reality? Or does it feel suffering? Let me show you how you can love. It's really, you turn all the attention, all the love, and it's not selfish, because when you give here, then it just flows like a never-ending well. It's a deep wisdom, feminine spring that can't help but just keep flowing and flowing. True yin movement starts with this seed, right? And from a true yin movement of like coming home, coming in, the true yang movement has to come. It's masculine, feminine energy, One starts, it all starts feminine, ladies, goddess energy. It is so. And then from there, the true yang movement is masculine. It's out. It's bringing and offering the gifts that it earned and created and potentized in its yin state. And that's the pattern that we're looking for, to come into our true conscious feminine, not wounded energy, and create and believe and potentize our power of love and then send it out into the world. We are going to be the catalyst for that, I believe, females, as we heal what has been wounded in the masculine and the feminine, both. And as we demonstrate that for the men in our lives who were also raised in a very masculine, wounded energy, they want to learn, they want to balance, they don't want to be douchebags. They actually want to be more conscious. Sorry that I said that, but okay, Camilla, you said you wanted to share something. You're still on mute. Yeah.
Hello.
Hi.
Oh,
Camilla's
wait.
my friend from Norway. So it's getting late there, but not so bad.
So finally I'm here with you, sister.
Yes.
And wow, this has been so amazing to be a part of. And I want to honor Madeline and Brooke for doing this work, because what you did tonight is just, and no, I can't even put it into words, because this is energy, and the way that you did generational healing together as a family, Noelle and Brooke, is just beyond and so special and so beautiful. And Madeline, to just ask a question and then you go into this deep healing is, oh no. And I'm sitting here with my mother.
Oh, oh, hello. Camilla,
And
met
I
you.
was reminded all along that, wow, how much I adore this woman, and how she have been, even though we've had a really complicated and difficult relationship at times, and to sit with her and to just ask her, like, oh, can you give me like 3 things about yourself that you really adore, and 3 things about yourself that you are just so proud of, and just be in that energy with her at the same time as I was listening to Madeline and Noelle doing this healing was just beyond. So yeah, I'm really thankful that we got to do this together and be in this energy together, because this is doing the work of actually healing and understanding what we truly are. And this, like, I heard this story, it's years ago, and I think it's from like Buddhism or something like this, and it's like a metaphor, and it's about all of the souls being in a waiting room together before they go to earth. And one soul asked the other, so what do you aspire to learn when you go to earth this time? And the soul answers, it always makes me emotional, because this changed all of my perceptions of all of the traumas that I ever experienced. And the soul answers that I want to learn the deepest and the truest form of forgiveness. And they become curious, and like they ask, like, okay, so how do you want to learn that? And the soul says that I'm going to go to earth and I will meet my beloved one, and we will have a beautiful life. We will have extraordinary kids, and we will just live in joy and bliss, and we will be so happy together. And suddenly one day we're out driving in our car, and a drunk driver hits my car, and all of my family dies. And I'm the only one standing left. So I need to learn how to forgive the person that drove into my car. And some time passes and the soul looks around and asks, so who wants to be the drunk driver? And when I understood this, and it's a deep one, but it really brought me to a place of understanding that we are in a world where good and bad things happen, but it's up to us how we perceive it and the love and acceptance we have to all of the play of this. So I feel like when we get to that place of love and understanding that things do happen on this earth, we can also have so much compassion and understanding for all that is, instead of having resentment for what could happen. Because for me, I understood that, for example, being raped actually brought me closer to my awakening and to my understanding of this life. And I'm not saying like it's okay to rape. That's not the point of it all. That has no yeah, that's just non-part of it. But to understand that things happen in the contrast of getting to that place where we do remember, where we get out of the state of forgetfulness, that's when we do expand. So I just felt really guided to share that, because for me, it changed the way I see people around me. I don't see like, it's like you talked about earlier, Noelle, about seeing others as already healed, and that we do the best that we can from where we are. So, yeah.
Thank you, Camilla. Thank you for sharing.
Give me 2 seconds. I can't hear anything. It's weird. I have to turn on my AirPods again.
Okay, can you hear me now? Testing, testing. Caller, can you hear me now?
And now I can hear you. Yeah.
Okay. First of all, your mom. So I was living in Norway before I moved back to America. And Camilla invited me. It's such a strange how we met. I'm not going to tell everyone how that happened, but if you know me well enough, you know how that happened. And I ended up, now I'm going back this year to take people for retreats there again for a few months later this year. So I am so grateful to have every one of you here. Camilla, thank you for sharing that, and your mom. Like, I met your dad and your sisters, not your brother yet, but your mom I haven't met yet. So that is really sweet that she's sitting right there on the couch with you. That, and I know what a big deal that is. So super, super cool. Thank you. I am Oh, good. Deborah says, thank you so much, Camilla. That was so profound, Donka. Okay. Thank you for everyone coming here together and trusting this space. I think, this is, I think, the 4th month we've done this, and it keeps getting better. It just keeps getting better. And I'm like, why am I doing this? And this is why I'm doing this. This is why I'm doing this. And there is a purpose, and I have felt called to do it. And I need to stay out of fear and stay in the love of, why wouldn't I want to do what authentically feels like something really beautiful to do? So, and it doesn't mean that I'm further ahead of you, because there is no time, right? There is no linear thing that's like, oh, well, I'm ahead and you're behind. No, it's we are all on our journey doing beautiful things in the space that we're in, and we keep changing and morphing because we're limitless, and it goes deeper and deeper and more expanded, and it's a joy. We're bringing joy to each other's lives. So I love that. Thank you so much. You are an alchemizing woman. Yes, yes, we are. We all are. We are alchemistas. And thank you for being here. Anyone who's watching this, thank you for, I hope you stayed the whole time, because there was so much gold in what Brooke had to say, and then what Madeline had to say, and Camilla too, and then even your shares, Debbie, for I feel like you said, this is helping me, this is touching me. So I'm really, really grateful. Thank you. And I will be doing this. It's interesting. I've had other women say, can you do it twice a month? So I may start doing it twice a month. And I've had men ask, will you do this for men separately? And so now I'm toying with the idea. If you have any men that you know that would want to show up to, I finished a 4-year her mystery school. So I have been studying deeply for these 4, almost 5 years now, the deep wisdom feminine stream of in the lineage of Isis and goddesses and stuff, but really that knowing your power, standing in your power, and having the tools and resources to know how to wake up to that power and become empowered with the power of love, to be able to help women do that. I'm like, well, doesn't it make sense that a man would want to balance their feminine and masculine, to know what it would feel like to receive? For a man to be a receiver, it's a very feminine thing. And we as women have seen our mentors, our women in our lives, giving a lot and not really being in their true feminine power of being receivers. So there's a lot in that. And I love that. I geek out on that as well. I geek out on a lot of things. But so as I move forward, stay tuned, because I will keep doing this. I may be doing it more often, and I want to maybe do it. I want to do it for men too. Okay, that's you, Mads F1028. I saw you on my Instagram and I was like, I don't know her, but now I do. And I do.
It's me.
It's you. I love that. Hey, I'm like just totally honored. So honored. Okay. Thank you. Thank you
Yeah,
for
I
being
knew I had you from somewhere. Sorry for interrupting, but I knew. I was like, where do I have her from? Okay, so then, oh, I love it. I love your content.
Thank you.
Okay, awesome. So we do, like, that's a thing. Okay, so now I get to reach out, and now I know how to connect to you, Madeline. Okay, thank you for being here. Thank you for showing up for yourselves. I love and believe in you. Yeah, and you're at the Gaines couple. Okay, yeah. Thank you, Brooke. So, so much love for all of you here. Thank you. Hope to see you next time. Bye-bye.